What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And on today's show, we're going to just talk about really quickly. Lincoln Riley goes to LA in a shocking move. Lincoln Riley has chosen a job at USC, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it. I actually wrote an article for CampusToCan.com in September, and I said that Lincoln Riley should be their main target. I said you should make as much money offer at Lincoln Riley, and some of the biggest points in my article were essentially. You want to have him go there because you want him to get there because of the money. So, hey, first things first, give him as much money as you possibly can. Hey, who's that next guy going to be? Where are they going to go? Right. So that's kind of that's the idea that I had. I also said, hey, listen, he's 55. I think he's 55-10 now in his career. So he's a proven winner. He's made the college football playoff 3 times with Oklahoma. But he's 0-3 in the playoff. And now they're going to the SEC. And my biggest thing is when I talked about Lincoln Riley was if they're going to go to the SEC, he's not going to want to go there because he's going to get just steamrolled. And that's just the reality of the Oklahoma program. He'd have to rebuild it again, kind of, with the recruits who's coming in. It probably would be less of a battle, but it's more of a battle at Oklahoma. So why not go to SC where you could be the guy? You could beat up on Cal. You could beat up on Arizona. You could beat up on those schools, and you don't have to worry about – I think every school but Vanderbilt was eligible for a bowl in the SEC this year. That is the kind of talent they have. Why, if you're Riley, why don't you go get paid more, live in LA, and do those type of things? So that's kind of my reality of it when I was writing an article, what it would be. I mean, it's the gauntlet. When you look at, you can make more money, live on the beach in LA, have a better destination for recruits as well. Hey, instead of Norman, let's go to LA. So there's a lot of things that kind of talk about this. So instead of playing Florida, Alabama, you go in there. So I believe that was a good pick for Riley, where he was going based on what probably he wants to do. He's also going to be making more money. So let's talk about the USC Outlook real quick and just talk about what I think from them. So this helps USC. USC has not been dominant, and everybody talks about the Pete Carroll errors, the Lane Kiffins, the Clay Heltons, all those areas. They have not done it. So what does this do for them? Well, first, puts them on national stage again. This is the type of hire they had to have. They had to have this national hire here of like, hey, boom, hit everybody here. It took the football world by storm on a football Sunday. Think about that. NFL Sunday, everybody's talking about Lincoln Riley. That's exactly what USC needed to do. It's exactly what they needed to do. They had to have that pop. Now, what does this mean for them? Well, shoot. I mean, right away, they become contenders just because of recruiting. The way that Lincoln Riley recruits, he recruited all around the country to get kids to come to Norman. What do you think he's going to be able to do to come to LA? And we've already kind of talked about that, the recruits that they're having bring in. But he had Raleek Brown. Well, Raleek Brown plays at Mater Dei. So when you're looking at that, he's probably going to stay. They need a running back in that room. Automatically makes him one of the top recruits that you want to get. And for Devy purposes and C2C purposes, Brown could play right away. That's how good he's going to be. He's going to step in and be the running back one of that team. Other guys, too. Malachi Nelson, QB1 of the 2023 class. Mekhi Lemon, DeAndre Moore, and more and more and more. There's other guys out there right now that are kind of going everywhere. They're talking about this, about leaving. If he can bring them to USC, especially with that class, we're talking about real Division I talent now and guys that can compete. And if you bring that to USC, the only program right now you're competing with is Oregon. He could shift the balance of Oregon's recruiting dominance that we've seen the last couple of years instantly in one class or 2 classes. I expect him to have the number 1 class back till next year. This year, he's going to pop back up. Right now, they're really low. It's terrible right now. Just by his name recognition alone, he's going to jump into that top 5 in the Pac-12, and he's probably going to get probably the top 3, especially if you get some guys to flip. Now, the other aspect we haven't talked about is transfers. So when we're talking about this, remember, they can transfer 1 year. Will he be able to get a Caleb Williams? Who will go with Lincoln Riley to USC? I think that's another mindset. He might not get anybody. I don't know. It depends on how those kids feel. But maybe they get somebody coming in. Hey, and they're going to do those. So you could see that. You could talk about that. We could go into it. So that's one area that you can mention is, hey, transfers, they might get them, and they might come from Oklahoma. The other thing, they have Jackson Dart, who everybody knows that I like, that we talked about. Like, he could be a very solid producer on this team. He's someone that I've been talking about. Hey, he's the quarterback of the future right there with Riley now. He kind of has his quarterback already set in place, puts his offense there, gets Raleek Brown. He already has good wide receivers in that offense. USC could already have a top offense in the Pac-12 next year without him really doing too much. Now we're talking about a solid foundation. So in my personal opinion, when we talk about Lincoln Riley going to USC, this is one of the best hires they could have made. This is the number 1 hire. This is it. They hit the top of the mountain. And everybody was talking about all these other jobs opening up. Guess what? It doesn't matter because that's just how good Lincoln Riley is. Now, One thing I will say is that he's got to produce now, but it's less pressure. If he wins 10 games next year or the next 3 years, that looks really good based on where USC is at. He put a lot of pressure on himself at Oklahoma. Now, why would he take this job? I think it's basically an SEC thing. In my opinion, that's kind of what we're going with there. Now, let's look at what it means for Oklahoma. So I think we got to talk about that as well. The Oklahoma outlook here. We've already seen it just like this. We have the number 1 wide receiver, Brandon Ennis. He decommitted. Then you have Trayvon Webb, running back. He decommitted. We're going to see a lot of decommits happen at Oklahoma, and that's going to be the reality of this because a lot of these kids are going there to play there for Lincoln. They were choosing the coach, not the school. Because of that, Oklahoma's got a massive, massive undertaking to be, and that's going to be who the hell do they get as their head coach, and where does that go from? So some guys that I've seen recently could put up there. Dave Aranda from Baylor. He's a strong consideration for the LSU job. Matt Campbell from Iowa State's not a bad idea there with what they've been able to do. Mike Elko from Texas A&M, defensive coordinator for Texas A&M there. Luke Fickell, I think, head coach Cincinnati. We see Cincinnati probably make the playoff this year as long as they win next week. Could he go there? Maybe they just promote Alex Grinch, defensive coordinator. I don't know if they would do that. He has improved that defense, though, but he doesn't have any previous experience as the FBS coach. Josh Heupel, Tennessee, would be an interesting hire. So he's a former Oklahoma quarterback. And when you look at that, now he got fired as the program's offensive coordinator at the end of the 2014 season. I don't know if he's going to do that, but he's looked great. He went 28-8 at UCF. He finished a 7-5 at Tennessee last year. Now, that would be bad for Tennessee to lose another coach like that, like they did with Lane. Lane Kiffin would be probably my choice. Could he do it? So he's 10-2 this year for Ole Miss. He did well at FAU. He did well at USC. He didn't too bad there. I could see him coming in and stepping in and doing that. Like Lane Kiffin would be my underrated hire. Like, hey, could he kind of be that guy there? I think Mark Stoops might get a look just because his brother Bob ran that program. He's done well at Kentucky. He's been up for some of the jobs there. I don't know about that. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be the idea where they want to go. That's not really a flashy hire. That's not going to get kids want to come there. I think the one guy that could is Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin could get some of those recruits back. He could really go and find them. Now, will he take that job? I am not 100% sure if he would want to do that, but that would be the guy that I would be, if I'm Oklahoma, that I would want to go after. So, again, as far as who is there, I think one thing area I want to also talk about in terms of like just Devy and C2C is where these guys go from here. So Oklahoma's program is kind of going through a change. We've seen some recruits there. Where does Caleb Williams now go? I think with the uncertainty of where he's going to be, I think he slips out of the first round of Devy and C2C drafts. Who knows where he's going to be? If he goes to USC, he might bump back up. I think Jackson Dart sees a sharp increase in there. Every USC player that goes there is going to see a sharp increase in value. So that's kind of how to look at it from a C2C and Devy perspective. But on the flip end, I think this is a great move for Riley. I think he picked a great spot to go to that he's going to be able to rebuild that into a dynasty. They're going to be competing for a Pac-12 championship soon. I know that team is very has some deficiencies. I'll just say that. I'll try to be nice. But I do think that they're going to grow into it. So I love this. I think Lincoln Riley going to LA is a perfect spot for him. And I think it really helps out all of USC's kind of recruits and what we're going to look at. So keep an eye on those recruits, especially Raleek Brown. That's a guy that I'd be targeting very early in drafts next year, even as a freshman, because I think he's going to get a lot of playing time, especially in C2C. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please. We've seen our videos doing well. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Anything there you can have. And also, we have a Discord now where I'll be talking about college football, Devy, all my picks. Find a Discord link. It'll be dropped in the comment section of this YouTube video. Until then, I'll see you guys later.